Hey YouTube, Super should be here with a review of the S.H.Figuarts Chou Akiba Red, otherwise known as Super Akiba Red, translated from Akibaranger Season 2. Technically that'd be 4, I guess. 2. Anywho, so yeah, basically in the show he gets this bugger, the Munya Munya Zubaan, and that lets him transform into Chou Akiba Red, which basically has Aoi basically glomp him, straddle him, and then turn into armor. Yep. So you got a whole bunch of text on the side saying that he's like 30 years old, lives with his parents, and all that fun stuff. Very rainbow, as with all of the Akibaranger boxes. There we go. So he's actually fairly much a new figure. Here he is next to the original Akiba Red. You can stand. So as you can see, most pretty much new stylings. The head sculpt looks to be pretty much the same, but the chest is completely redone. The shoulder pads are outward a little bit more. The arms look to be about the same, I think. Obviously, the entire body section was all redone because of the armor. And then even the legs down here, despite the fact that he needed a new thigh anyway because of the armor, were completely redone to match the new kind of figure art body that they keep promoting. This one being the one that they use with Ryuki. With that swivel right there and the kind of exposed ball joint there, which kind of makes it more look like the armor from the show, which I find incredibly helpful, and it improves this figure drastically. Because of the shoulder pad issue and stuff like that, the original Akiba Red just kind of looked very lanky. It looked really wrong, and I'm happy to note that all those problems are now solved. So, yay! So, as you might have guessed, articulation-wise, he's hindered quite a bit by Aoi's head up here. You can kind of get a full rotation going, but it obviously will get stuck right about here and there because of the armor. This shoulder pad right here doesn't really hinder too much except for the upward motion. But again, that's perfectly fine. Full movements up here and in the head. Obviously, this shoulder pad does hinder his looking to the left a little bit, but no real problems there. And like I said, I love this hip joint. It's my favorite of the Figuarts hip joints. And I'm really glad that new body they started showing off is using a very similar style of hip joint, if not the same one. So, huge props to them because I do really like that hip joint. So, very, very cool overall and looks a lot better than his Season 1 counterpart. And I'm kind of hoping that the girls get a little bit of a joint fix-up too. I don't think they did. I don't remember, but regardless, they had a little bit of loose joint problems I'd like to see corrected. Included with this guy is a split scarf. I attached the singular one onto him, so you can just take that off and pop this one on. You kind of need to put a decent amount of pressure in there, get that in there. So now you have the double scarf, which actually looks a little bit cooler. You have this pose hand right here. Kind of pointy-ish hand. The dagger mode holding hand. Pointing hands. The Z-Cune or the Zubaan holding hands, since it actually has a trigger. Kind of loose holding hands for something I'll show off. And the karate chop hands, because that's part of his pose. Included with all of the Season 2 releases that weren't in the Season 1 releases, you get the figure mode for the Z-Cune. And that's really cool. So you now have that, which is always helpful. And it's kind of tilted enough to where you can get him in like a pre-transformation pose, where the figure's tilted, but the clamps haven't collapsed yet. So that's cool. You have the Zubaan in figure mode as well. The Zubaan in its dagger mode. And then the combined mode between the Z-Cune and the Zubaan The Munya Munya Zubaan, I think, is what it's called. I might have got Moe and Munya switched around. But yeah, you have that as well as kind of a super finisher attack. So that is it for accessories. So let's go ahead and pose him up. Overall, fans of Akibaranger shouldn't pass this up. Even if you're not a huge fan of the Chou/Super design, it's still a pretty great figure. If you already own this guy, I would still pick this one up. It's a very much a superb mold compared to this, both in accuracy to design and just kind of the proportions in general. It's using the newer hip style that works very well for a figure like this. Proportions seem to be a lot more accurate, and the paint and everything is actually very well done, and the armor looks incredibly well sculpted for what it is. So, very cool overall. Really glad I did decide to pick this up. The girls are coming out this month rather. Next week, actually. I think this weekend, maybe. So we'll see how they turn out. Like I said, I don't think they're getting as heavy of remold as this guy because he's pretty much an entirely new mold. But we'll see if their various little issues were fixed. And like I said, the accessories with these are great. You do get the figure mode for both of the weapons and the combined mode, as well as the dagger itself. So even if you have the Season 1 guys, the Season 2 set looks to be definitely worth the pickup. Lots of accessories, cool sculpt, great paint, and overall much better figure than the first one. So you can check out shokunshobi.com for latest updates on my reviews and hauls, and of course check out Riders, Rangers, and Rambles, the podcast brings Stoka news in the craziest way possible. And of course you can buy S.H.Figuarts and other Tamashii related brands at csstoresjapan.com. So take care and have a great one. Bye.